Rusame reader, Song, and today I will be reading to you from Stars and Moonflowers in Our Garden by Rainbow Star _772. That's me! Now, on to Chapter 42, Storms and Potential Flirts. America sighed, not feeling like leaving until it stopped raining. It had been raining since soon after he got back to his room last night, at around 2 in the morning. It had been raining for 6 hours, and he had wanted to head to his office. He'd eaten breakfast a little after 7, and it'd still been raining then. It had been lightening up a bit, so maybe he'd be able to head out soon. As he waited for the rain to leave entirely, he grabbed a covering for his letter to Neeks, as he wanted it to be intact when it got to him. He carefully encased it in the waterproof casing and walked out of his room and headed towards his office as quickly as he could. He stopped by the camomiles first, nestling his letter carefully among the wet petals and leaves. Once he was content with its placement, he stood back up and continued to walk toward his office. A little bit after his shift had actually started, he'd had an ever so slightly embarrassing interaction with Russia. He had to admit to the fact that he was affected by catnip. He didn't like how much that revealed about him and hoped Russia wouldn't tell anyone. He needed that mystique and the danger that came with the unknown to get his patients to listen to him. But knowing Russia, and knowing that they were friends, he probably wouldn't tell anyone. He sighed a little and looked at the herbs in his hands. He smiled. Maybe he did have a chance after all. Maybe, but he wouldn't hold his breath over it. He smiled and gently placed his herbs on the counter and began to sort them into piles so that he could put them away. Once he had them sorted into the files, he carefully and gently put them in their respective places. As soon as he had them put away, he went back to his desk and sat in the chair. There really wasn't much for him to do at the moment but wait. He started humming to himself as he pulled out a piece of paper, deciding to doodle. He lost track of time with the combination of humming one of his favorite tunes and drawing. He was only snapped out of it when he heard someone coming close to his office. So he looked up, stopped humming, then looked at his doodles. He quickly flushed when he found that he'd drawn Russia. He quickly hid the sketch in his drawer before the door opened. When the door opened, he saw who was in the doorway. He was glad he'd gotten the art hidden away as quickly as he had. He quickly calmed down the heat on his cheeks and greeted Russia happily. "Hey, Russ, it's nice to see you again." Though he noticed something about Russia's expression shift. He couldn't place his finger on what had exactly shifted, but he could tell that he'd gone from annoyed to content after seeing him. So he chalked the look up to something having annoyed him earlier. So he hoped maybe he could ease the annoyance. He got up and walked over to Russia, giving him a gentle hug. The other was in a different outfit. He was glad. He hoped maybe that he'd done that before he'd left to go somewhere. "Hello, Zibdia," Russia said, sounding excited to be around him. He also scooped America up into a hug, which seemed to make Russia even more happy. "So, how are you? You looked a little annoyed when you came in here," America hummed, not moving from the hug, choosing to return it and allow himself to be held. "Better now that I've seen you," Russia hummed. Was that a flirt? America wasn't sure if that was a flirt or Russia just being genuinely happy to see him. He didn't want to get his hopes up, so he was going to assume that Russia was just genuinely happy to see him. "So, if you don't mind me asking, what had you annoyed?" America asked carefully. "Just saw something that annoys me a little. Don't worry about it," Russia mumbled, seeming quite content now that he was hugging America. He kept bringing America ever so slightly closer. America laughed a little and smiled, relaxing into the hug. As he relaxed, he felt Russia pull him up more, pulling him up off the ground. He let out a surprised noise, but didn't fight it. He wasn't sure why Russia was holding him up the way he was. "Russia, why are you holding me up?" America asked nervously, letting out a little eep noise as he was lifted further off the ground. "Because you are small, and I did not realize until now, but you're also very fun to hold," Russia hummed, putting America down, only to pick him back up, but he was holding America in a more comfortable way than before. "Russia, put me down," America requested, looking at the ground, which felt so far now. Russia seemed a little bit grumpy, but he complied, putting America down gently. "Sorry, didn't mean to cross any boundaries," Russia mumbled, looking away. No, it's fine. You didn't cross any boundaries. The ground just feels very far when you hold me like that," America explained quickly, feeling some blush rush up onto his face. It was a bit embarrassing to admit, but he also liked being held like that, though that was something he'd never admit out loud. "So, can pick up?" Russia excitedly spoke, bouncing a little. He seemed to like the idea of picking America up more often. The way he'd worded it sounded childish, but America didn't mind, finding it a little cute. "Yes, you can," he said softly, a smile on his face. "But it will take me quite a bit of getting used to." Russia immediately picked him up again, and proceeded to carry him around the room for a while. America couldn't help but blush. He wasn't used to being held this way, and the fact that he had a crush on Russia didn't make it any easier. Russia only put him down when he had to go to classes, and was quite pouty when he had done so. All right, see you later, Russia," America said with a small smile, waving goodbye to Russia. "See you later," Russia grumbled before leaving the room. And that's the end of this chapter. I hope you enjoyed. Anyway, I'd like to invite you to join the Discord, which is linked down in the description below. That being said, I hope you have a nice rest of your day, night, or whatever it is for you. Just enjoy your time, and I will see you